Good morning, everybody. Kishan, Danny, Hidden, I hope you're all well. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse, the 1st of September 2025. It's 11 a.m. Central European Time. I hope you've all had an absolutely amazing weekend. We have a lot to get through. It's a Monday, but not only that, it's the 1st of September, which means we have the August close to look at. There is a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about Bitcoin. We're going to talk about brutal September. Is it going to be brutal? Is Bitcoin, or has Bitcoin bounced? That's the poll question of the day. We're going to talk about USD1, and I want to show you my prediction for WLFI as well. We're going to talk about Mantra as well. We're going to talk about Trump corruption coin if we get there. There's a lot to talk about. We are live now. Big request. Press the follow button, press the like button, and comment wherever you are in the world. Okay, just let us know you are watching, because sometimes, just sometimes, it's like talking to yourself. Other times, it's like talking to an audience of people. So I hope you're all having a great start to the week. We're going to kick off with some X-Files. There aren't too many of these because there's a lot of charts for us to get through. You will see at the bottom of the screen the stream title today is Did We Bottom? Have we bottomed? I made a video for the OGs yesterday, which I think Kishan has already watched and commented on. And that was probably the most rambling video I have made in at least a year. Rambling because, not because I changed my opinion halfway through the video, but I was trying to cover so many different things in that video that I wanted to make sure that I got it all across. So it probably wasn't the most coherent video I've ever made, but I think I watched it back before I put it live. I think I got the message across, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Obviously, I'm not going to give all the juicy stuff away. Now, this is pretty cool. This is the nice way to start the week. This is Build With You, the Binance Billboard Challenge. If Binance had a billboard in your city, what would it say? Design it, meme it, write the headline, go big, go bold. Easy way to play this game. Follow Binance and repost. Share your billboard concept with Build With You and then complete the survey. Now, there's $100 for 20 people. And you've got until the 4th of September, which is the end of this week. It's a serious prize. Wouldn't be a Monday, would it, without a picture of this chart? It wouldn't. We very rarely have Mondays without this tweet from a certain gentleman when it loads. And that is that we have the Michael Saylor Sunday tweet. Bitcoin is on sale. You will see on the right-hand side there are an awful lot of yellow dots, and that is the DCA that Strategy have been doing. They've been DCAing for some time, but they've gone absolute hell for leather in the last 6 to 12 months. Again, do I think long-term it is a massive positive for crypto that one person or one company holds this amount of Bitcoin? No. But do we need somebody like this in Bitcoin and crypto? Yes, it's a net positive for me right now, but that doesn't mean it can't switch. So again, Saylor is on his path to owning whatever percentage of Bitcoin he wants to own. Now then, I'm not bullish on the stable coin for the EU because it's programmable money. Okay, let's just get that one out of there. However, I am bullish on the fact that it's going to be using Ethereum and XRP. So again, all of the people out there telling you that Ethereum is a waste of time, it's old tech, There's better technology. De facto, de jure. I say this all the time. It doesn't matter if you are faster. It doesn't matter if you have cheaper transactions. It doesn't matter. Ethereum is going to be the chosen one. I've said this for months. Ethereum is going to be where the BlackRocks, the Goldman Sachs of this world end up, where all of the yield-bearing opportunities for your stable coins, your Aves of this world, they're all on Ethereum. And yes, it will run over into Solana. But when the EU are looking at Ethereum, when World Liberty Financial are basing their entire strategy on Ethereum, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that Ethereum is going to appreciate in value. And we have been saying this since before the pump, when everybody was talking about rotating from Ethereum into Solana or rotating into whatever it might be. It's not going to go anywhere. It might not 20, 30, 40x, but you are going to make a solid return on your Ethereum. Whether you sell it in this cycle, whether you sell it in 29, 30, whenever it might be, you're going to do incredibly well out of Ethereum. And that's the goal. That is the goal at the end of the day. I treat your portfolios as if it's my money. Now, this is, again, something that reinforces something we say on here. Doing nothing when you have no edge might be one of the hardest, but also one of the best trading skills you can develop. It's difficult, and overtrading is something many people still do after years of experience. The best thing you can do is distract yourself with other things and start planning out your future trades and investments for when things do turn around. A lot of content I've been putting out about Syrup, and especially Syrup USDC, is about this. It's not an if, but when we top. So it doesn't matter what I say about October, November, or February, March next year. It doesn't matter. What matters is the next strategy. What do you do when the prices start to come down? And my solution has been stablecoins. That was the plan. Originally, maybe 2 years ago, I was saying to you, how are you going to get your money from crypto into your bank account? That then changed to, why don't you keep your money in stables and earn 4 or 5%? That's then evolved again into the likes of Ondo and Maple Finance, where you can earn 5 or 6% yield on your stable coins. So my strategy changes with the available opportunities. The same way that liquid Bitcoin tokens, Syrup BTC, Lombard Bitcoin, they are going to change my strategy moving forward. So if you listened to me 2 years ago, I would say, how do you get your money into your bank account? If you listened to me a year ago, how do you get your money into earning 4 or 5% on Binance? Now it's buy Syrup USDC. So even though you might think I say the same thing all the time, it's actually different. But this is what I try my hardest to do, and that is not get distracted by the local noise, the short-term noise, and try and focus a little bit further into the distance. That's what I try and do. I'm never 100% accurate, of course, because sometimes you just can get bogged down in politics. It happens. It happens. You know, last year we were talking about what was going to happen in January. In January, we were talking about what was going to happen in summer, and now we're talking what's going to happen at the end of the year. So we're always trying to look a little bit further ahead. Now then, market economic calendar. Tuesday, we have not really a lot of excitement there. Wednesday, we've got the job openings. Now, there's a lot of people saying that if the job openings come in on Wednesday outside of this prediction, then Powell may consider a 0.5% rate cut, because we know now pretty much there's a rate cut coming in September, which is 2.5 weeks away. We can have a little look in a minute, actually. But there are people saying that if these job openings come in at a different level, then he will cut deeper. I don't know how much truth is in that, but that's coming from the more knowledgeable people. Thursday, again, jobless claims. Trade deficit, I don't think there'll be too much of a trade deficit. Friday, we've got employment report, unemployment rate, and hourly wages. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's all about jobs. And I think that is the key. Now, if we go forward, next week, we've got the PPI. That's important. CPI, also next week. Now, if we move forward, we should see where is the actual date of the next Fed meeting? Maybe it hasn't been listed yet, but there is a Fed meeting coming in September, as are the rate cuts. So this week, jobs. Next week, inflation. That's going to give us possibly a pump in the market. Anyway, let's move on. I don't have a lot of time to get through all of these charts, and believe it or not, I do skip a lot of them out. Now, this is the one I'm expecting to turn around, and I haven't looked at this since last Monday, and this is the DXY. I'm expecting this to move up, but I have been known on occasion to be wrong, and I am sure we're going to look at my squiggly line pointing in an upwards direction, and we are not. This is the weekly chart. Let's have a little look. Right, okay. So, this is what I am expecting the DXY to do. And what we seem to be doing is holding this line here as some kind of support. But I highlighted this last week. We've now wicked 5 consecutive weeks off this support band. And I think it will break. Maybe the jobs data, maybe the CPI, maybe all of them combined is going to cause us to move. And maybe we move to the downside. Maybe the data comes in weak, signs of the American economy being weak. Maybe that moves us to the downside. I don't know. But I'm still sticking by the fact that we're going to move up a little bit. We are sitting at the same level now we've been at pretty much since June. It's going to move at some point in the right direction. And the next, and probably more recognizable one, is Bitcoin dominance. I have been saying that I think this is going to start to move back up. And maybe not to where we were before. But we have had, now we've had a bigger fall off than what we had at the period highlighted here. And I am still sticking by this red line. I think we are going to do, still think we're going to do this. Okay? I still think this is going to break to the upside. We're at 58%. Bitcoin dominance moving up means one of two things are going to happen. The price of Bitcoin moves up comparative to the alts, or Bitcoin doesn't move and the alts get wrecked. Now, we're going to talk about the USD1 in a little bit, and I'm going to talk about World Liberty Financial. Do you remember when Trump coin launched? It sucked the life out of the altcoin market. I think maybe today that when WLF goes live, I think it's going to suck the life out of the alts. And I can see one or two things happening. I can see Bitcoin dominance starting to move up today, or I can see all markets going red today. But I don't think that's going to happen because I think Bitcoin has been pumping today. I think we're back over 109,000. So again, with this, it's very similar to the DXY. I expect us to move up. If you look what happens, we have this down and then we move up. We have this down and then we have a move up. So I think this isn't the breakdown. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we only come up this far. But we are going to start to move back up. And that means Bitcoin increases in value or the alts lose. I think the alts could lose. But again, I can't say for absolute certainty that this is going to happen. Now, this is probably the last chart we're going to look at because, again, on a Monday, I always run out of time. We're going to look at this, and then there's one other thing I want to look at, and that's the Bitcoin performance by month. And I want to show you August, and I think it's going to show you what I said was going to happen. Right, this is the total market cap of crypto. And again, there are many ways you can look at these things. I've actually got the lines on there perfectly. And you can see my little red arrow kind of showing you what's going to happen. We got rejected at about 4 trillion. We've come back down. We've come back down to the previous highs from the end of last year. And now we seem to be curling round. So the total market cap looks like it's going to move back up. If the total market cap moves back up and Bitcoin dominance moves back up, as I think, that means that the alts and Ethereum might start to come down, but Bitcoin will move up. Maybe that's what we're going to see. Maybe we've done that, because one of the things I'm going to show you is, I think, why we're going to see Bitcoin moving back up. And that's because I think we might have bottomed. Bitcoin monthly returns. All right, let me show you this. This is the last thing I'm going to show you before we get into the news. Remember, if you are new here, say hello. Lots of people. Oh, good morning, Tariq. I hope you are well. Good morning, Bullish Ball. Protagonist is back in chat. Good morning, Simon is back. 17th of September. Thanks, Tariq. I couldn't see it on the chart. 17th of September. And good morning, Manjeet. I hope you are all well. Right. I said we were going to have 2 red months for Bitcoin. And I said that in July. Did we get the red month for August for Bitcoin? We did. So, I'm currently 1 for 1. Bitcoin fell. Roughly. And again, there's a few ways we can look at this. I would look at it as the market cap of Bitcoin is so much higher that it will see less and less dramatic moves. We've gone from minus 14, roughly, minus 11, roughly, minus 8.6, and now minus 6.5. Look at September. September doesn't look like we're going to have a green September for Bitcoin. But most of the things I've looked at tell me that we may be bouncing in September. And we're going to get onto that when we look at Bitcoin in a minute. But we did have a red August. I said we were going to have a red August. We've nearly always had a red August. So that wasn't really pointing out too much of a... It was pretty obvious. Now, look at October. Okay? Now, October, we've only had 2 red Octobers. Okay? Now, many of you out there may remember Sean Connery with his Scottish accent in The Hunt for Red October. Now, if you want a Red October, that's the film I'd advise you to go and watch, because we're not going to have a Red October. Rate cuts are coming. The money printer is going to go burr, and we are going to skyrocket in October. Now, again, we're looking probably at a double-digit move in October. If we do a double-digit move in October and we somehow manage to get to the end of September at about 115,000, we're going to end October at all-time highs. And if November is the blow-off top, then we are going to start it at about 125,000. So where do we go? 150, 160, 145, 180, maybe? October is going to be green. So all we need to do really is get through September without wetting the bed. Now, for me, a good September would be 110, 112,000. I'd be happy with that. I'd take that all day long. So, again, we were right about August, but the last... I don't know. I'm going to show you what I'm going to talk about in a minute. First thing we're going to talk about is actually, you know what? Yeah, I'll tell you what. We are going to look at the Bitcoin chart next. That's what we're going to do. Gold has been pumping over the weekend as well. That's normally a sign that things are going to happen with rates and stuff. Okay, I'm going to show you this very briefly. And even though I want to say we're going to come lower, that's not what I want. Even though I said I think we're going to come lower, this happened. Now, we're going to have to zoom in, probably to the daily, to see this. And like I say, I did do this over the weekend. Now, this, let's get rid of this line here. I'm going to draw some little arrows here. This is the bull market support band. And I have said that we need to bounce off the bull market support band to go up. And we've bounced off the bull market support band. So even though I do think we could come lower, I've now switched. So you might remember back here, I was being a little bit pessimistic. And I said, I think we're going to come down to the bull market support band. Now, if you look, we've had 3 wicks off it. And these are daily wicks. We're back now nearly at 110,000. We've bounced off the bull market support band. Now, it doesn't mean that we can still, if you look at this, for example, up and then down, maybe we do that. Okay, I said that in the video yesterday. But I have to give this the credit it deserves. And again, we can even go back over here. And we can see that that line held back there as well. It was resistance, now it's support. So, where do we think we can go? Maybe we come back into this area here, which is about 112,000. I don't know if we're going to get back into that area up there. But if we're going to get rate cuts on the 17th of September, are we likely to front run? Are we likely to see people front run? Because that's been probably the biggest strategy of this cycle, is front running. And I think people are front running Bitcoin. I think they're expecting rate cuts. They're coming in 2 weeks' time. If people front run Bitcoin now, the price is going to go up. So what we might see, and again, Bitcoin dominance, if we see this on the price of Bitcoin and we see this on Bitcoin dominance, maybe we don't see this on alts. Maybe we see a small decline on alts. Maybe we don't see the 3,200 for Ethereum. Maybe we don't see the $160, $140 for Solana. Maybe we just see 180, 170 for Solana. Maybe we see 3.4, 3.8, 3.6 for Ethereum. But for Bitcoin dominance to go up, it can go up with the price of Bitcoin. And the alts might not get absolutely smashed, which is what normally happens in September. So I have to say this, even though I was talking the other day about us coming down towards, what was it I was saying, 104, was it 105, coming down here. Maybe we don't. We look like we've bounced. If you look what happened over here, we had a few wicks before shooting back up. A few wicks. I mean, as I say, I don't do TA. I just look at the patterns in the charts. Now, let's move on. We've got all of that out of the way. I'm hoping it's not half past. Because if it is, then we've got a lot to get through in not a lot of time. 11:24. That's not too bad. That's not too bad, is it? At the end of the day. Not as bad as the fact that I'm gonna tell you a little funny story, okay? Every week, I do this thing called the Chronos Pulse. Do it on X. I do it on YouTube. And it's basically a rundown of events from the Chronos chain. And normally, it does really well on X. Nobody watches it on YouTube. Nobody. This weekend, Nobody's watched it on X, and it's pumping as we speak on YouTube. Now, YouTube and X don't talk to each other, have no correspondence with each other whatsoever. So it's the bloody irony that we cannot ever seem to get a single video do well across all of our channels. It just, I don't know what it is. We're cursed. I think we've got a curse, right? And when I mean pump, I mean we might get 3,000 or 4,000 people see it on X, and we'll get 100 people see it on YouTube. And at the minute, I think we've had hardly, I think about 600 or 700 people watch it on X, but we've had about 600 people watch it on YouTube. So we've had 10 times the viewers on YouTube and a sixth of the viewers on X. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's like being a Man United supporter. You've got to score 3 goals to beat the worst team in the league. Bitcoin no longer plays gold's game. I didn't think it ever played gold's game, to be honest. It's evolving from digital gold to productive capital as Bitcoin now earns native yield with holders, while holders maintain custody and decentralization. I believe this is going to be about core DAO, isn't it? Bitcoin was treated a purely inert asset for years, a decentralized vault, economically passive despite fixed issuance schedule. More than $7 billion worth of Bitcoin already earns native on-chain yield via major protocols. That premise is breaking down. Gold sits idle. Bitcoin now earns a yield. This is important. And again, I've been trying to talk about this as much as I can without people getting too aerated about it. I don't care about your precious Bitcoin. I don't care about your precious opinion. I don't care about my precious opinion. I'm stating a fact, and that fact is, if you have a market with $4 trillion and one of those assets is worth $3 trillion and there is no way of earning yield on it, then you're not looking in the right place. Bitcoin is going to be a yield-bearing asset whether you or I like it or not. I happen to like it, but it has to evolve into a state where it is safe. The same with liquid staking tokens that I've mentioned before. Okay? Bitcoin's economic DNA hasn't changed. The supply remains at 21 million. The issuance schedule is transparent and no central authority can inflate or censor it. We know all of these things. We're already seeing this affect. Okay, let's talk about this. Bitcoin is the only crypto asset officially held in sovereign reserves in El Salvador. Continues to allocate Bitcoin in its treasury. El Salvador actually broke up its Bitcoin holdings into, I think, 15 different wallets a few days ago. Standard practice, I believe. On the mining side, miners no longer rush to sell. Again, mining pressure was a massive thing 8 years ago. Now it's not so much, because they've got more money behind them. They can maintain their mining operations without having to sell their Bitcoin. It's becoming evident the original value proposition has evolved. Bitcoin earns without giving up control. Is this going to be talking about Core DAO, I wonder? Some platforms let long-term holders stake native Bitcoin to help secure the network while earning yield without wrapping the asset or moving it across chains. I saw something really funny the other day. Somebody put a tweet out that said that you can use this protocol to have native Bitcoin on Ethereum and Solana, and that made me laugh because that is absolutely not possible. You can't have native Ethereum on Solana. You can't have native Cardano on XRP. You can have synthetic wrapped versions of those tokens on different chains. So basically, we're not going to read any more of this. I don't want to go through it too much. But suffice to say, I agree with this article. Bitcoin is a yield-bearing asset, but it's a little bit contrived at the minute, and it won't be in a few years' time. And that's why in January I said to you guys that I am no longer going to sell my Bitcoin at the end of this bull run. I'm going to earn a yield from it. And I gave you a very simple example. We go to $200,000 and we earn 4%. That's $8,000 per year per Bitcoin. And that's only if the price stays at $200,000. Do the same thing when the price goes to $500,000 and you're making $20,000 a year passive income from your Bitcoin. And you'll be able to do that through Binance. And that, we talk a lot on here, not your keys, not your crypto is the biggest lie ever told in crypto. If you don't know what you're doing and you put it into a hot wallet, it's gone. If you don't know what you're doing, you put it into a ledger and you lose it and you lose access to it, it's gone. You're seeing a shift towards different ways of connecting now. And Binance, as an example, it's just a way to keep your funds safe. And the bigger these exchanges get, the more solid they get, the more structures are in place. And there is no point in sitting here and trying to be a Bitcoin maximalist, telling you to have your keys and have it on a ledger and put it in your laptop and doing whatever it might be. The safest place for your crypto is Binance or a top 5 exchange. And I will argue that point with anybody because I'd rather you have it on an exchange than lose it. So Bitcoin is no longer gold. It is absolutely correct. A lot of the financial products that are going to come online, they are going to be around earning yield on Bitcoin. And at the minute, you can already get 2.8, 2.5% on your Bitcoin. And there's multiple ways to do it as well. You can earn in Bitcoin. You can earn a secondary token. You can earn Bitcoin and a secondary token. There's more than one way to skin a cat. More than one way to skin a cat. Solana price warning September could trigger a brutal crash. I think we're below $200 on Solana. You know what I didn't do? I didn't look at the prices, did I? I did not look at the prices today. That is a sackable offence. We'll go and look at the prices after this. Solana heads into September with gains of 50% year to date, but its latest failure to stay above $210 raises doubts about whether the rally can continue. We're not going to rally into September, I don't think. I think we're going to come down on all the alts. And I've been saying that for a while. Solana is at $205. Solana was, last time I checked, $198. 90% of Solana's supply is now in profit. Each time this metric nears similar levels earlier this summer, you had 8 to 23% corrections. It's always the way. If you've got a coin that's gone up 40 or 50%, people take profits. I tell you to take profits all the time. It's the way you should do it. What doesn't help in Solana's case is having the likes of Pump.fun dumping 150,000 Solana every month. That doesn't help. Exchange balances have surged above 32 million, a level last seen before August sell-off. Raising exchange deposits often precede heavier selling activity. I think a lot of people are expecting a September dump. Sol remains inside an extending wedge on the weekly time frame, a pattern that often breaks lower. Support is 195 and 182. I can see us going to 182 all day long, and 164 as well. On the flip side, we're not going to get above 217 or get anywhere near 240, 260 at this point. If we want to blow off top, I don't think we need to be trading that high. Now, one thing that these types of articles miss out is the kind of the macro. So, 1st of September, I'll give you a scenario now. 1st of September, we're looking a bit bearish. 2 alts in particular could survive September. Solana and XRP. We're going to get the rate cuts, as Tariq said, 17th of September. Now, we're also going to get Solana and XRP ETFs. They are going to come in October. More than likely October. More than likely the 3rd to 4th week of October. They don't get announced immediately. I think there is a 2-week period before they go live. So that puts us in the 1st week of October. But what we want to focus on is the same kind of thing that happened with Bitcoin and Ethereum. And that is the likes of BlackRock and other ETFs, they have to buy Ethereum before it goes live. So if you go back a month from, say, let's say October the 21st is when these ETFs go live. You go back to September the 21st. If you've got a rate cut on September the 17th and you have the accumulation starting maybe September the 21st, maybe September the 14th, maybe September the 7th, I think of all of the alts in the market right now, we could see Solana and XRP actually finishing green for the month. Now, if that happens, Solana is now at 203. We could go to 220, 225, 230. XRP is down at 282. That could finish at 350. Now, what will happen then is when the market is red and Solana and XRP go green, because they know they're getting the ETFs, then everybody else is going to look at it and go, they know something we don't. And they're just going to suddenly buy XRP and Solana, and that's going to compound the effect. So that's a scenario I can see playing out. Kind of the same with Ethereum. Ethereum just started ripping and ripping and ripping, and everyone went, oh, somebody knows something. And then everybody started piling into Ethereum, and then the narrative changed, and now Ethereum is the greatest thing since sliced bread. That's probably what we could see in September. Maybe everything apart from Bitcoin, XRP, and Solana in September are red. Now then, Bitcoin's coming in just below 110. Ethereum is just below 4,500. XRP's taken a real kick in to get below $3. BNB does what BNB does. Solana is back above $200, which is nice to see. Cardano, again, happy place, 80 cents. Chainlink back below $25. That needs to move up. Hype is back at 45. Where is Cronos? Is at 28 cents. Now, interesting fact about Cronos. We had two price targets. The Oracle had two price targets. I had one. The Oracle said 27 and 24 cents. I had 28 cents. Now, 1 cent between friends is nothing. It's come down to where I think it's going to come down to, and it's come down to where the Oracle thinks the first stop is. But if we wet the bed, 23 or 24 cents is the next leg down for Cronos. If we don't wet the bed, then this is the bottom of Cronos, for those of you that are holding big bags of Cronos like me. 24-hour gainers then. Pump.fun is trash. Don't touch it. Trump is up. God help us. SPX 6900 is up. Never heard of that coin. Build on. Don't know what that is. Don't know where it's come from. No idea. File is up. Monero is up. Hype is up. Optimism. Cardano is up a little bit. Losers. 4 is down. Pi is trash. 38 cents. And it's still got a $2.8 billion market cap. Unbelievable. Conflux Pi is down a touch. I would have sold Pi on Friday when I said Pi sell. Bonk is down a bit. Not many. I mean, it's a decent start to the week. Now, Litecoin. The intern at Litecoin is a funny old fella. And he is quite funny. There are an absolute ton of World Liberty financial coins doing the rounds, which are scams. Right, 11:38. I've got to be really careful I don't run out of time, because we're going to look at Litecoin. We're going to look at USD1. I then want to show you what I think is going to happen with WLFI. Then we've got OM, and then we've got the Trump corruption coin. So I don't know if we're going to get through all that, and I don't really want to overrun too much either. Crypto Chaos, Litecoin's official account, just declared war on XRP. I love these kind of wars. You just need a bit of beef to get the impressions up. I suppose Litecoin is monetized. It needs to get its money from somewhere other than Tariq. The broader crypto market may have traded sideways this week, but Litecoin injected unexpected drama after its X account published a bizarre and provocative tweet, which began as a quirky fun fact about comets, quickly turned into a direct swipe at XRP. Very, very, very fun. Let's go away for that. Has it got a picture of the tweet? How am I supposed to read that? Fun fact, a comet smells like rotten eggs, urine, burning matches, and almonds. Most scientists say the closest comparison to this phenomenon on Earth is the idea that tokens called XRP would be sold off to retail investors with the illusion that a digital bank drive-up tube is. I didn't get the end of that sentence. The response was immediate and fierce. Pro-XRP voices hit back, with attorney Bill Morgan reminding followers of Litecoin's declining decline from former glory. Remember when Litecoin was a top 5 coin? Me neither. It was so long ago. Remember when XRP was a top 3 coin? Me too, like today. You can't beat a bit of banter. I mean, that's what it is. It's banter. It's good for XRP, and it's even better for Litecoin. If I was to back an intern in a war of words, it would be Litecoin. Because the XRP intern, I don't even know if they've got one, but Litecoin, that brings the heat. Others went further, questioning whether Litecoin's founder Charlie Lee himself was behind the statement. Critics resurfaced. One user called Litecoin a cheap copy run by a Chinese scammer whale, adding that the project has been in long-term decline ever since. Listen, Litecoin is going to have its own ETF. And it doesn't matter what I think of that. It doesn't matter what you think of it. Let's go back to the thing I was saying before about Bitcoin. We all want... I've got to be very careful how I phrase this. We all want a pristine, untouched asset, don't we? But you don't always get what you want. And we have to accept that the men in suits and ties, they want to control as much Bitcoin and earn as much out of Bitcoin as possible. It's just the way it is. The same with Litecoin. Litecoin is going to get an ETF, and people are going to buy Litecoin that know nothing about it. If I said to you, do you have funds? And you say, yes, sir, I have funds. I've got $100,000 in a Fidelity high growth fund. I'd say, fantastic. What are the companies in that fund? And you will say to me the immortal line, I have no idea, but it does very well, and it's making me 8% a year. That's how funds work. I've been saying this about ETFs for a while. You're going to get bundled ETFs. And what it is these rich men in suits, they want to go to you and say, good afternoon, would you like to buy some Bitcoin? And you will say, absolutely, I love Bitcoin. Would you like to buy some Ethereum? Oh, I would love some Ethereum. Okay, so they've sold you Bitcoin and Ethereum. They don't have anything left to sell. And you're like, have you got anything else? And you say, I've got the super duper, blue chip, high tech, deep dive ETF. Oh, that sounds exciting. What's in that? Well, we've got Litecoin, which is like a silver version of Bitcoin. That sounds amazing. What else do we have? We have XRP, which is the banking coin. That sounds absolutely fantastic. I want all of that. What else do we have? Oh, we've got Solana as well. Oh, I love Bonk. I love Bonk. Bonk is the best token. I'll have that. And they'll go and buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the super duper high-tech blue chip ETF. So Litecoin is that kid with the glasses that's the last one picked for the football team, but it still plays for the football team. And if that football team wins 5-0, that little kid in glasses is going to be a hero like everybody else. And that is the slot that Litecoin fits. It's the snotty little kid with the wonky knee that gets to play for the good team because they need to make up the numbers. And they're not allowed to play with 10 players, they need 11. So that is how I perceive Litecoin. And Tariq will probably never speak to me again for calling it a snotty little kid. Right then, let's move on. Trump backed USD1 to supplant Tether USDC as top stablecoin by 2028, says BlockStreet. By the time Trump's second term is over, BlockStreet's Kyle Klemmer believes that USD1 will be the world's dominant stablecoin. Again, did I or did I not say the same thing to you on multiple occasions about Trump? Again, I'm not going to sit here and say I told you so. I was talking to the Oracle about this last night. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night. And I was saying that before the election, I said, don't think for 1 minute that Trump isn't going to make any money out of the next 4 years, because he is. And I said, the immortal line, is he going to be a net positive for America? And my answer at the time was yes. Tariffs, crypto, Bitcoin strategic reserve, stable coins, ETFs being approved out the wazoo, a new SEC which is pro-crypto. All of that has appeared out of nowhere since January. We're in August. We're in September now. 8 months he's done all that. He's got 3 years and 4 months left. He's going to start milking that cow. And this is one of them. The token that I'm going to show you a chart in a minute of how I think it's going to play out. USD1 is his stablecoin. If you think for 1 minute it's not going to be a top 3 stablecoin in the next 3 years, you are sadly mistaken. That token will probably hit a market cap, let's say conservatively, of $100 billion. That'll be making $5 billion a year, which will do what? It will buy back and burn WLFI tokens. Okay? So he is building a natural buy pressure to his own token using his own stablecoin that he is going to manufacture into a position of strength in the next 3 years. I'm telling you now, don't forget this, because this is what is going to happen. He's going to have a top 20 crypto project, and he's going to have a top 3 stablecoin. I don't believe for 1 minute, before I've even read another sentence, that it's going to catch USDC or USDT without doing something really dodgy, which I don't think he will do. He'll be more than happy to have the 3rd biggest stablecoin in America. Why not? 100 billion, $5 billion a year, buying his tokens off him. His family will be set for life. They will have made... They're not going to become trillionaires in this campaign, but they're going to set themselves up to become trillionaires, and they're certainly going to be $100, $200, $300 billion richer than they are today. But is he a net benefit to America? Yes. Do I care because I'm not American? No, I don't care. I just have to comment on it, and that's what I think. So, Blockstreet is creating a complementary ecosystem for USD1, the Trump-backed stablecoin. Co-founder Kyle Klammer believes it will outmatch all of the stablecoins by 2028. World Liberty Financial governance token becomes tradable on Monday. I'm going to show you a chart in a minute. With the team, the backing, and the overall excitement that the blockchain community has, I certainly see USD1 becoming the most widely adopted stablecoin in the world by 2028. They're going to have a native launchpad, which is fantastic. Blockstreet co-founder Matthew Morgan, a former cannabis entrepreneur, is an advisor and serves as CIO. Fantastic. I don't really care about anything else. At the end of the day, it's going to win. And it doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what you say. It's going to win. The same way Litecoin is going to win, because it's the common sense goes out the window. Metrics for certain things go out the window. I always tell you, look at projects that make money, and if you can't explain how they make money to anybody, then you don't invest in it. All of that goes out the window with World Liberty Financial. Now, this is something I wanted to show you. This is what I think will happen, or a possible scenario for World Liberty Financial. Now, this is the Circle stock price. Circle being the token which, the stock that I said I think we should all buy. Okay, now I don't give you stock picks. I don't give you that kind of stuff because we are not financial experts. We are not licensed to do that. We are giving you our personal opinion for education purposes. Now, I said we were going to buy this at under $30. You can clearly see with your eyeballs there, it's $132. This is how I think World Liberty Financial is going to play today. This is its launch price. It's going to do this. And you are going to buy here. It's then going to come back down, and then it's going to have a second pump, and you are going to buy here. And then it's going to do this for a very long time. This is also the pattern of a pump and dump or a meme coin, however you want to look at it. So, hang on. So I expect World Liberty Financial today, let's say it goes live at 30 cents. I expect it to go to about $4 $5, somewhere in that ridiculous region. And everybody's going to buy. And then it's going to do that. And everyone's going to panic. And then it's going to do that again, and you're all going to buy. Now, this is what I think is going to happen. So where am I going to buy this token? I am going to buy the token here. If I'm wrong, and it does the opposite of this and tanks, because all of these influencers and all of these other people have dumped it on the market, then I am going to start buying today at a low price. Okay, I'm going to buy. If it does this, I'm going to buy today. But we've got a long on this. The Oracle's got a long on it. Not for a lot of money, not high leverage, but that's going to try and catch any pump. And if it falls to the ground, we've got a stop loss in there, so we might lose $5, if that, $10. So if it replicates Circle, I'm not going to buy it. The time between this pump, this was the 20th of June, and this is today. So I've got to wait a month and a half to get into this token, if I want to get into it. There are so many reasons I want to buy this token. I don't have a cent in World Liberty Financial tokens. I don't own any of them. But this is a degen play that I want to be in. And I am not buying Circle at $131, $132, and I'm not going to buy it. It has to come down a lot further for me to buy into it. But World Liberty Financial, if it goes from 25 cents to $4 and then retraces to maybe $1, I will buy it at a dollar. But I'm not going to do anything else. I'm going to watch. So that's my play for that token. But I think it's going to replicate that chart. And if it does, please, if you do buy into this token, don't sell your Bitcoin to buy that token. Okay? You can do what you want. It's your money. Buy as much of it as you want. But please do it with a bit of care. Now then, conviction plays. You know we're all about conviction plays. Exactly. Buying fear, selling greed. Absolutely exactly right. Couldn't have said it better myself. Now, let's look at the conviction plays we've had on this channel over the last 2. By the way, I keep saying 2 years. It's not 2 years. It's 3 years. It was June 2022 we started, not 2023. June 2023, we were telling you about the bear market. So I'm out by a whole year. We're actually 3 years of age. Now, conviction plays so far this cycle. Cardano played out. XRP played out. Ethereum was pretty much a no-brainer, but played out. Cronos played out. Mantra. I reviewed this project when it was at 30, 40, 50, 60 cents. Before it ran all the way up to $8, I reviewed this project. And then I made a video about it a couple of months ago, which they all loved, which is fine. I didn't make it for them to love it. I made it because it was an honest opinion. The one thing I care about is whether a project has the nous to work. Is it something that's needed? And if it's something that's needed, is it something that's needed and somebody will pay for? Pretty much. What's the point of making a sandwich shop in a desert when there's nobody there? There isn't, is there? You make a sandwich shop in the middle of an office district where there's always going to be a demand. Mantra is a sandwich in an office district that's been hit with some really bad news. Maybe the chef left. Maybe he took with him the coronation chicken recipe. I don't care. Mantra is still a play for us, and we've now got 2 bags of Mantra. One natively held on the Mantra chain and one held on Binance. 2 bags, okay? Not massive bags either. A few $100s here or there. There is a change happening at Mantra. They're moving their tokens over to their own chain. So you're seeing the end of the token being held on a separate chain. It's moving over. They are paying, I think it's 10, 15% APR on Mantra right now. They've got a $30 million investment into the project, which came out last month. The price is doing everything it can to not go up. But the project is sounder today than it was 3 and 6 months ago. So I have to go with the project. The project still has JP Mullen. The project still has a community. But all of that is irrelevant compared to this fact. They are onboarding real-world asset projects every single month. And at some point, the demand for the use of their service is going to catch the eye of people, and people are going to be buying this token. Now, it's not going to $8, okay? Not today, not tomorrow, maybe in 4 or 5 years' time, but not now. I would be looking at getting in to this token anywhere south of $20, $25. If you can get Mantra at 15 cents, I would get Mantra. And like I said, we've got no affiliation with these people, but I put this company in the same bracket as I would put Maple Finance and Ondo. Same bracket. What's the difference? They had incredibly bad news about their token hit with them. They had liquidity crunch. The token crashed overnight. The company didn't change. The same thing could happen to any project out there. There can be a liquidity crunch, there could be a massive sell, and the token could be wiped out. That is not the fault, in my opinion, of the team or the project. So for me, I've still got a positive outlook on Mantra. Now, 4 minutes. Don't have enough time in the day. Right. Very briefly, and then I want to get on to something that we might be doing on Wednesday when we get through this. Let's keep an eye on chat. Remember to smash the like button and say hello if you are here. Right, California governor to launch Trump corruption coin to mock Trump's crypto. How old are these people? I mean, seriously. Newsom is going to launch a token. He's going to call it the Campaign for Democracy. He's going to launch a token. Listen, if he stands against anybody, he will do better than Kamala Harris. He's more presentable. I don't agree with the majority of what he says, but he speaks very well, unlike Kamala Harris. I think he's a good candidate for the Democrat Party. But the problem with the Democrat Party is, at the minute, is they need to get their house in order. It's not in order. And they've kind of been taken over by the militants a little bit from the outside. A lot like a lot of, the left-wing parties in Europe as well. They've all been taken over. This isn't a political show, but what I would say is I think Newsom has got a good chance against whoever stands for the Republicans. And I don't think this kind of stuff helps him. I think this is a ridiculous take. Absolutely. Anyway, we're going to move on because I want to tell you about Wednesday. So give me 1 second. All I need to do is close this down to stop the lag. There we go. Okay, so I should be okay now. Right. So as you can see, it says Crypto Warehouse Morning Crypto because there is no quiz night advertised on Binance here. We do Mu over there. We do Maple Finance over there. But we don't have a scheduled Wednesday night quiz on Binance this week. But we are working on a quiz for X and YouTube, which could very well be announced today or tomorrow. And it is not going to be on Binance, so I'm not going to talk about it here. But basically, keep an eye on our socials. Keep an eye on my account on X. Keep an eye on FitzyDK on X as well. And don't forget about the Telegram group. We're going to announce it in there. So that's Wednesday. The rest of this week, we're going to be streaming tomorrow. I'm going to be streaming on tomorrow and Friday. The Oracle is going to stream Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So this week, without any quiz, if you ignore that for a minute, we will be streaming Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Twice on... Yeah, that's right. Five streams. And I am going to try and fit another stream in on Wednesday night. Because we want to do something, because we've got a free Wednesday. We obviously want to try and give some crypto away. So we're going to try and arrange something. It's a bit hush-hush. I'm not going to announce it, but keep an eye out for Wednesday. Other than that, keep an eye on World Liberty Financial Token. That goes live, as far as I'm aware, in an hour. I think it's live on some exchanges now, but I think it might be live in an hour on most exchanges. I know Binance mentioned it was going to go live at 12 UTC, which I think is 2 p.m. now where I am. So keep an eye on it. Let's see how it goes. I'm either going to have a bag of World Liberty Financial Tokens tomorrow or I'm not. And either way, it's not going to affect my portfolio an awful lot. I'm going to buy into that, and then maybe I'll just stick it in the corner and leave it. So take care, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. You're all stars. Smash the like button before you go. Say hello before you go. See you tomorrow. And what else is there? I have to say, keep an eye out. I've got a video coming out about Syrup USDC, which I just need to edit. I've also got a video about Mew coming out, which I recorded on Sunday, which I'm going to put up on Binance Square probably today or tomorrow. So until I see you in the morning, have a nice day.